To hour number 2 of the Larry King Show. Gloria Steinem was our guest in hour number 1. In a moment, the very talented Jeff Bergman. He's the new voice of Bugs Bunny. This is a return visit to this show for Jeff. And tomorrow night on CBS, Bugs Bunny's Creature Features. It'll be on at 8 Eastern tomorrow night. Saturday night, it's the Jim Bohannon Show. Jim will talk with John Siropoulos and John Harder about automobile salesmen and how they get you to buy a car you may not want. Sunday night on the Best of King, among the guests, Don Rickles. And then we're back Monday night. Actually, Jim Bohannon will be sitting in Monday night. We'll be heading from New York to Detroit for the big Chrysler March of Dimes Westwood One Sports Banquet. That's Tuesday night in Detroit. They're going to honor a whole bunch of terrific people, including Don Shula and lots of others. That's Tuesday night in Detroit. It'll be at the Palace. We welcome to our microphones Jeff Bergman, the new voice of Bugs. You've been the voice of Bugs Bunny now how long?
I'd say, now let's see here. Now, go to the left, Larry. No, to the right. No back. No 2 years.
I guess about 3 years.
How did you get this job, Jeff?
Well, I wouldn't have gotten it this past
Wait
week.
a minute. Who's that?
Yes, who's that? I wouldn't have gotten it this past week, Larry. I just recovered from laryngitis, which isn't half as bad as recovering from tea burns. I managed to spill all my tea in my shoe 15 minutes before I got in here, in your green room or blue room.
It's not your day, is
It's
it?
not my day, no.
We don't have a green room.
I'm here, but I'm better now.
It's a pink room.
It's a pink room. I got this job, I guess, because I don't know, because I'm nuts.
Had you been doing voices?
Forever.
Restep me the career a little.
Okay, well, let's see. Let's go back to 1981. I had the good fortune of meeting Mel Blanc when he was doing a lecture at the University of Pittsburgh.
You were a student?
I was a student. I was a junior. And he was, I guess, in his early 70s at the time, and he was signing autographs afterwards, and I managed to overhear what hotel he was staying at, so I followed him back to his hotel and knocked on his door and pleaded with him, please see me for 10 minutes. It was about what time it is now, and he was very gracious and had his robe on. He was ready for bed. And he let me in, and he gave me about 45 minutes of his time, and that was a big turning point for me, because up until that point, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, if I was going to be, was going to work at the UN, or what I was going to do. But he said, stay in school and get your degree.
Did you want to do animated voices?
No, I had no idea of that at the time. In fact, just 3-4 weeks after I met him, I started somehow doing those voices. And I can't explain why or what. I think I fell in love with him. Ooh, that sounds rather strange.
So you got to do... How did the career begin from this? How does one start doing voices?
Well, I made
you
several
didn't do
tapes.
Rich Little, right? You didn't do a comic act with James Cagney.
No, that's right. Top of the world, Ma. No, I didn't do that. I made tapes and more tapes and sent them to agents, and they said, we don't need any of these tapes. Go somewhere else. We've got plenty of tapes. I just kept at it until I got an agent, and eventually they sent me out on auditions, and people said, hey.
And what was your first kind of break?
What was my first break? I was on the news show with Lorne Michaels. I was hired as the staff announcer instead of Don Pardo. Yes, he was at Saturday Night Live with Dick Ebersol at the time. And we only got 10 episodes out of the show, unfortunately. We died in anemic ratings because we were opposite Falcon Crest at the time. But it was a swell experience.
And you became a voiceover, right?
Yes.
And you started doing cartoons?
Well, I had no experience until Bugs Bunny. Mel died in July of '89, and they had auditions, and I started auditioning in Pennsylvania.
How were you earning a living before that?
I was doing, voiceover commercials and things like that. I had become the voice of Charlie the Tuna. Herschel Bernardi, another one died. It's just,
I knew
isn't that
Herschel
great?
very well, yeah.
My father calls me the curse.
They wanted the same voice that Herschel gave Charlie?
Yes, they wanted that same.
Which was?
Tell him Charlie sent you. Great taste, great flavor. Tell him Charlie sent you.
Yeah. So you got that. Was that the first big gig for you?
Yeah, that was the first big voice gig, yeah.
Now, are you also the voice on Saturday morning cartoons?
No.
Wait a minute, Jeff. Are you telling us that your living is now...
It's a fraud.
Your living is now Bugs Bunny?
No, hardly.
What else are you doing, Jeff?
Hardly. Well, one of the great things about being on your show last time was that someone from the Boston Pops called after my appearance, the guest conductor of the symphony, and asked that I would perform with the Pops live at Symphony Hall, narrating the story of Peter and the Wolf. Composed by Sergei Prokofiev 75 years ago, and I did it with the Pops, and it was fantastic. It was
using your own voice.
No, using all different voices. I was the rabbit and the cat and the wolf.
Whoever spoke, you were.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Great.
With the orchestra, it was sensational. It was great. So I've done that, and in fact, they've invited me back and asked me to do some children's concerts for them. I have an affiliation with Ronald McDonald's Children's Charities. Don't make any money doing that, but that's fun. That's good stuff. And I've got a couple of Bugs Bunny cartoons lined up. Do a lot of voiceovers.
Well, a lot of voiceovers.
Yeah.
Commercials and the like.
Yes.
Have you done cartoons as well?
I've done Tiny Toons, yes. The syndicated national phenomenon, hugely successful, Steven Spielberg.
Let me ask about, in a
Yes.
moment, this Bugs Bunny Creature Features, which airs tomorrow night on CBS. Back with the new voice of Bugs Bunny, if you want to talk to one of the best, what do they call your profession?
I don't know. Voice actor.
Boy, one of the best voice actors in the business.
Well, thank you.
Jeff Bergman, back after these messages. With Jeff Bergman, the voice of Bugs Bunny. All right, what is the Bugs Bunny Creature Features?
Well, this is a very exciting special. It's very different than anything else. I think Warner's has a bad rap in the past. They do a lot of compilations. And this is exciting because there are 3 individually different cartoons. They haven't been seen before on television. You have The Duckshircist, which was done in 1987, and you have Night of the Living Duck. Both were done by Mel Blanc, and they were Mel Blanc's last cartoons. And interestingly enough, Mel Torme makes an appearance in this, singing in the voice of Daffy Duck. It's hysterical.
Wow.
And I believe at the time, I don't know if he got any credit or anyone knew at the time, but it's out now, and so that's exciting. And the first cartoon that you'll see is Invasion of the Bunny Snatchers, which, if you've seen the movie, it's very similar. And I'm particularly proud of that because I was hired by the director, Greg Ford. Greg, you're out there, so hello. To do all 4 of the voices, which is kind of unusual.
And they are?
Bugs.
It's true, Donk.
Elmer Fudd.
Oh, please, Mr. Rabbit. Oh, stop it. And of course, there's, yes, me, Daffy Duck. Oh, yes, I'm above reproach.
And yes, of course, there's my favorite, Yosemite Sam. Oh, I hate that rabbit.
You do all 4?
Yes, all 4. So that's kind of odd. Ordinarily, they
And now, is this a one-time only?
You mean, like, are they ever going to show it again?
No, a Bugs Bunny Creature Features special? Is that one?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. I would say no. It'll be seen again, hopefully.
I mean, is CBS going to put Bugs into their regular slot? Is Bugs going to be a weekly show?
Be a weekly show? Wouldn't that be great? That would be a nice thought.
Because TNT's making a lot of money showing Bugs in early fringe.
That is right.
Every night, I think, 6 o'clock is a Bugs Bunny festival.
Yep.
And they're doing very well with it.
Very well.
So if CBS gets good numbers with this tomorrow night...
If they get good numbers, if we get favorable notices, our other ones that are in production may get released. It's I'm hoping. I mean, I get calls all the time. I get letters of people. When are they going to make more cartoons? And this is it. It's in.
Why do we like Bugs so much?
Because he's versatile.
You liked him too before you knew Mel Blanc? Before you?
No.
Didn't like him?
No.
Why?
Because I didn't really know Bugs Bunny.
No, you didn't like his cartoons?
I don't think so. No, I have to be frank. Not
Chef.
Joe.
I'm shocked because Bugs was anybody's favorite.
Yes, I know. I don't think I understood it that well until I appreciated it until I was in college.
Right, he's a rogue, right?
Yes, he's definitely a rogue. Of
He's
course.
a kind of anti-hero.
Can be, at times.
He can be cruel.
Yes, mean-spirited. He can be nasty. He can be nice. He can be clever, and talented.
He is talented.
Very talented.
And he drives Elmer nuts.
Yes, and he has a dynamite sense of humor.
Dynamite. Was he a Mel Blanc creation?
Well, I've worked with Chuck Jones, and I have to tell you that this is an ongoing discussion. Who created Bugs Bunny? If you want to say technically, Tex Avery created the conception of Bugs Bunny, and Mel and the animators and the writers together created the voice. It changed over the years.
It did?
It did. If you look at the Turner ones, they own before 48, the voice sounds very, very different. Even the early ones, it's "What's up, Doc?" which doesn't sound very much like Bugs.
No.
And then it got
It got brighter, Doc. No, yes.
And then
But it was Mel Blanc.
Yes, it was Mel. That is right. It was Mel.
So
And
he
they
changed.
Yes, it changed over the years. And I think my favorite is, I guess, late 40s. I mean, Beanstalk Bunny is just one of my favorite cards. There I go, off on a tangent.
Our guest is Jeff Bergman. If you want to talk to him about the magic of voices, our number is 703-685-2177. He's featured tomorrow night in a special on CBS at 8 o'clock. Bugs Bunny Creature Features. Back after these messages. Jeff Bergman, he's the new voice of Bugs Bunny. There have been only two, Mel Blanc and him. And he's featured on Bugs Bunny Creature Features on CBS tomorrow. He still lives in Pennsylvania, right? You commute from Pennsylvania to L.A. to do this?
Yes. In fact, well, for this thing, I actually did most of this in New York. The director has a place in New York and L.A., so I commute to New York every day as it is anyhow. So
you do?
Yeah, I commute.
I work and
take the train, the Amtrak. Plug.
When you watch this, when you do these voices, are you watching it on screen?
You mean when I'm doing it in the studio?
When I did the Simpsons, I saw no screen. I just did it, and then they draw to it.
That's what I do. But they show me a storyboard. Did they show you a storyboard when you did?
No.
They didn't do that. Okay. See, they show me a board of basic direction, a pencil test, or they give you some kind of a feeling of what the action's going to take place. And then from that, it gives you a way to say the dialogue.
We are going to start going to your calls. A lot of people want to talk to Jeff Bergman. Sometimes they show you a character, and you have to figure out the voice for the character.
That's
right?
True, too.
What are auditions like? You go out on auditions?
Well, yes. Just your name and your slate, and that'll be it. I'll tell you about a funny audition. I was in California. It took me an hour and 40 minutes to get to the audition. That was over in 45 seconds. I said, come on, let's have a little coffee, a little Danish. Can I stay a little bit? It's tough.
Let's go to your calls for Jeff Bergman, Reading, Pennsylvania. Hello.
Yeah, hi. I'm calling up to ask Jeff.
Yes.
Where were you born and raised?
Where was I born and raised?
Yeah.
I was...
It's not tough, is it, Jeff?
Well, it is. It is tough because I moved around a lot.
Where were you born?
I was born in Philadelphia, raised partially in the Northeast and in Bucks County.
Because we're right close to there, in Reading.
Yep. Lived in Huntington Valley for a few years.
Went to the University of Pittsburgh.
I went to the University of Pittsburgh.
Did you graduate?
Yes, I did.
Majored in?
Speech and rhetorical communication.
And live now where?
In Bucks County.
You still living around here?
Yes, I do.
Let me ask you a question also, another thing. I'm in radio. Actually, I'm at one of the stations that plays the King Show right now.
Uh-huh.
That's why I'm listening. Well, not that I'm not interested, but I'm listening on the show. Anyway, I'm very curious, because I'm running the board. Do you do voiceovers for radio stations and things, like comical bits and stuff for radio stuff?
On occasion, I have done that.
Really?
Yes, on occasion, yes.
But you can be hired to do any... if a station called you and wanted special bits and cut-ins or something...
For hundreds of thousands of dollars,
that's what voices do, right?
Right.
Ithaca, New York, with Jeff Bergman.
Thank you, Larry. I have two questions for Jeff, please. One a Warner Brothers cartoon general question, one a Bugs Bunny question.
Okay. Right.
Okay, thanks. So the general question is, do you know why they never play anymore one of the greatest Warner Brothers cartoons ever, which was an animated version of Horton Hatches the Egg by Dr. Seuss? And it was really good, and they only did it once.
Do you remember when they did it?
Oh, back in the mid.
Wow. See, now this is I wish I had Greg Ford here, the director, who's the Warner Brothers historian. To tell you the truth, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I see cartoons that I haven't seen for years, and they come up. I don't know who's trafficking these things, All
right, second question.
Okay, Bugs Bunny. There's a song they did where they had someone interviewing him about his childhood, and he sang this lovely song about the daughter of Rosie O'Grady. And I'm wondering where I could get all the verses to that. I'm sure Bugs only sang one or two.
That was a famous song.
Yes,
She's
it was.
The daughter of
Rosie O'Grady.
Hell of a girl.
Whoa.
New Haven, hello.
Yes, I just want to know how did you learn the voice of Bugs Bunny, and how long you've been doing the voice of Bugs Bunny?
Professionally, 3 years. Been doing it for about 11 years. Just hundreds of hours of practice.
Without being too technical, what's the most difficult thing about doing Bugs?
Getting the mid-range of the voice.
Explain.
The mid-range is the most difficult part of any voice to duplicate.
Or you can do highs and lows.
Yeah. Most impersonators can hit the highs, but the mid-range is the soul of the voice.
Mid-range.
It's true, Doc. I'm a rabbit, all right. Magic helmet. Oh, brother. Yeah, right
now,
there.
when you send them up,
Send them up. It's up there. Oh, no, it's... You're right, Doc.
down.
Oh, brother, rabbit. Oh, brother.
So that's easier than
Yes, it's
the
easier.
level.
It's easier to hear, to capture, and to recreate.
To Braintree, Massachusetts. Hello.
Yes, good evening. I was wondering if, I recall that Mel Blanc's son did some of the characterizations his father did. Do you know if he's active in the business? And second quick question, where do the legal rights to the voice lie? With the creator of the cartoon or the person who creates the voice?
Well, answer your first question. I don't know if he is active or not. I do know I've seen him on interviews, and he said that he prefers to be involved in production and direction and things like that. Secondly, it does not lie within the rights of the voice actor. Warner Brothers, in this case, owns the characters and the animation.
So if they sell a doll, you don't get a percentage or anything. You're paid to do the voice, but nobody owns the voice, right?
No one owns the voice, right? No one owns the voice. They own the rights to the voices and the animation.
Our guest is Jeff Bergman. He's the voice of Bugs Bunny, succeeding the late Mel Blanc. What a great story, visiting him as a college student and winding up doing his most famous thing. And he'll be, of course, seen on Bugs Bunny Creature Features tomorrow night on CBS. We're going to pause for news headlines, a word from your local stations. We'll be back with more calls for Jeff Bergman. Jim Bohannon talks automobiles tomorrow night. And Dawn, my man Dawn Rickles, on the Best of King Sunday night. The man is out of control. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System. Back to the calls for the very talented Jeff Bergman, the voice actor who's the voice of Bugs Bunny. You'll hear him tomorrow night on Bugs Bunny Creature Features on CBS. McLean, Virginia. Hello.
Hi. What's the origin of the phrase, "What's up, Doc"?
What's the origin? You mean how did they come up with that?
Yeah, how did it start? It's a great phrase.
Well, Mel Blanc's biography, his autobiography, to some extent, I think he claimed that he accidentally used that line in the studio. There's different versions of it, you know. That's one I really don't know, to tell you the truth.
Will he say it a lot tomorrow?
Will he say it a lot tomorrow?
On the show?
He will say it a couple of times, yes. Now, there is a story, somebody by the name of Doc Hardaway, something or other. They got it from some guy that was doing animation on this. But that's a good question.
What's up, Doc? Farmington Hills, Michigan. Hello.
Hi, Jeff. How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Good. Wanted to ask you a couple questions. Was it you that got to work on the commercial with Michael Jordan?
It was not.
Oh, it was not. Because it's a great commercial. And I was just...
Is that a Bugs commercial?
Yes.
Yeah. I was just curious whether or not they had plans for any more.
I don't know.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Hello.
Hello. What I wanted to ask y'all is, do they have a protagonist and an antagonist in a plot in this program? A protagonist and an antagonist.
In what?
When you plot the stories.
Oh, is there, in the Bugs Bunny story, is there a protagonist and an antagonist? Because Bugs is both.
Yes.
Bugs, I would say, is both. He's the, yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes Elmer Fudd could be the antagonist. Forest Heights, Maryland. Hello.
Hello, Larry. I wanted to ask your guest, is there any place in the voice of animation for electronic modulation and synthesis? With that?
In terms of sound, you mean?
Yes.
In what respect?
In other words,
for the enhancement?
Right.
That's interesting. I don't know. That hasn't been explored as far as I know. But it's, you know, other than altering the voice like they did with the Chipmunks, you know, speeding it up to that degree. I don't know what that would do.
Simulation as well. Voice simulation, as we have now with human simulation.
To tell you the truth, I don't know what that would. I'm not sure I totally understand what that would do. You know, or why would you?
What do you
do
mean,
that,
sir?
You know, you have to be a little more specific, I think.
In other words, if you want to create obviously you have Bugs Bunny's voice, and you've worked on that and perfected it, and you want to create other character voices. To do this, you might use an amalgamation of a couple voices by, you know, modulating the sound or improvising through simulation.
Sure, you can do that. Sure, they've done that. Absolutely.
Thank you. Syracuse, New York, with Jeff Bergman. Hello.
Hi, Jeff. How you doing?
Fine. How are you?
Not too bad. Basically, I want to clear up that "What's Up, Doc" actually came from Tex Avery, who used to hear it a lot as a kid. So, of course, he put it in his cartoon. That's how it came about. I think that's the
simple as that.
Yep, simple as that. It's straight from the minds of these people who created these cartoons. Anyway, straight to my questions. I wanted to ask a quick question. I believe it was Greg Burson who did the voice on the Michael Jordan ad. Is that right?
I think so.
Right. And how are you two basically working out these voice jobs?
To tell you the truth, I don't really know.
Directors, basically.
Pardon me?
Is it up to the directors, basically?
I think it ordinarily is up to the directors. They're all very talented directors at Warner Brothers.
Right.
So I think they select who they want, really.
That sort of leads up to my second and final question regarding Warner Brothers animation currently, which is, I'm not sure how much the basic public knows this, but I'd like to make it be known that basically Warner Brothers has shut down their New York studio. They've closed down what used to be a sprouting team of animators, and now the only one that's open, I believe, is the Los Angeles studio. Jeff, I know that you work with both coasts, Nancy Beeman and Greg Ford and Terry Lennon, as you mentioned, as well as Daryl Van Sitters. I was wondering if you could comment on why Warner Brothers has decided to, close half of its studio.
I don't know. That's a very good question. I would write and ask them.
When you work New York?
Yes, both.
But he said they're closed.
It's an animation studio in New York where they do the animation there, Larry. And that's what he's referring to. They did close that office down, which is too bad, But perhaps if we get nice notices from this, you never know.
Is there I don't know how to even... Is there big money in voice animation?
No.
Good money?
Perhaps.
Well, you wouldn't be paid, let's say you're doing the voice of the star of a network primetime show tomorrow night. You would not be paid, say, what Kenny Rogers would be paid to appear tomorrow night for a half hour on a network.
Yeah, let me say, if I was, I wouldn't be doing this show. Yes.
You're not paid in that range.
No.
But you're not paid staff announcer range either, right?
No.
So
it's a nice living.
Nice, but
living,
not
yes.
through the roof.
No. More glamorous.
Macon, Georgia. Hello.
Yes, I have two quick questions, please.
Yep.
Doing the voice, does it put any kind of strain on your actual voice, or do you have to do something in special treatment?
It does put a strain occasionally, and I just have to rest a lot, to tell you the truth. 10 hours of sleep will do it.
Best thing, right?
It's the best
Not
thing.
saying
Silence.
Anything, no.
The best thing.
Do they allow you any changes in the script?
Sometimes, occasionally.
I mean, if you're uncomfortable doing something and think you should do it different, do they like input?
Yes, sometimes I'll be extemporaneous, and I'll do something, and they'll say, we like it, and they'll keep it in. But, I mean, I try to stay to the script,
What kind of voice is the hardest to do, if that's possible to explain, kind of?
What type of a voice?
Yeah,
or,
for you. Do you do females?
I think black people are very difficult to do because there's a wonderful resonance in their voices. Cosby is, in fact, I should have told you this before we started this. I got into the business by demoing for a lot of the celebrities for their commercials, for Cosby, for Don Rickles when he did the Cosby. When they go to hire a celebrity for a commercial, say they would go to ask you to do a spot, and you would agree to it, but they have to demo it. They have to test it first to see if it's going to work. To
see if Larry King sounds good.
So they'll hire me to come in the studio for much less money.
And see what it sounds like.
Yes, and see what it sounds like.
So you did Cosby?
In fact, after 17 years, I think, of doing Jell-O commercials, he finally allowed someone to demo for him. And I was selected by the advertising agency to come in and demo for him.
So meaning you did what?
And the stuff, and I'm talking about the people as a child, and it's wonderful, and I'm going to make 567,000 Jell-O puddings this year and make $1 billion. Ah! And it's wonderful. Claire, are you out there?
Great. You do Don Rickles, too?
Why don't you go and milk a Clydesdale for a half hour? What kind of work is your father-in-law out of when you died? Huh? Okay.
We'll be back with Jeff Bergman after these messages. With Jeff Bergman, Arlington, Virginia. Hello.
Well, I was wondering if you could tell me, have these cartoons ever been translated or dubbed into foreign languages, or do they use titles, and do they try to duplicate the quality of the voices that he has in English?
Good question.
Good question. When I did the Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue, which was the anti-drug special, they have dubbed it in Chinese. In fact, I received a video copy of that. And I believe,
Chinese guy doing Bugs Bunny?
Yes. And the voices, they don't sound the same, but it still sounds funny, which is great. I don't know how many languages they've done it in, but they did it in quite a few. As far as the classic cartoons go, I don't know. Disney, I think, perhaps might have done that. But yes, they have.
All right, we thank you, and we go to Roanoke. Hello.
Hello, Jeff.
Hello.
I bet you don't know who I am.
Well, I won't until you tell me.
This is one of the former Mirror Men.
Oh, gosh. Whoa, boy. Whoa, we're going back a couple of years.
Who are the Mirror Men?
The Mirror Men is a group that was made up of Jeff Bergman, Gary Short, and Robert Rothbard.
And what did they do?
We would call up people on holidays and special occasions and do impressions over the telephone.
For what purpose?
And we were all, well, apparently not to make any money.
Well, you're the right guy.
What was it? In other words, I'd pay you, and Bill Cosby would call up my uncle?
You're the right one-third of the trio, that's for sure.
And we had Jeff and I carried the lion's share of the work, and the rock.
Give me an example of what you do.
Oh, like say if it was your birthday and you wanted to have Robert Blake call you up and wish you happy birthday.
Right.
We'd call you up and say, hey, darling, I want you to listen to this tune. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Larry. I love you, darling, and that's the name of that tune.
I got you.
Thank you for calling.
Paid to do this. Thanks. What are you doing now?
I am in the ministry in Roanoke, Virginia, and I speak and still perform at special functions and things like that.
Well, that's terrific. That's great.
And I've been following you, Jeff. Never have been able to get a hold of you. I had a hunch that you're still living in Pennsylvania, and we're proud of you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
That's really
you
nice.
Too.
Thank you. Sacramento, hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. And still hi. Okay, your normal speaking voice, Jeff.
Yes.
Sounds very much like Stan Freberg.
Oh, well, that's a very nice compliment, I think.
Yeah, and at some
very nice.
During the show, I noticed that you were doing a strange voice, and it sounded very much like Stan Freberg. Also, someone called earlier and wanted to know what Noel Blanc was doing. Well, he's on Tiny Toons. I've seen his name in the credits.
Oh, well, that's great.
Okay, thanks for that. Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, hello.
Yes, I got a couple questions for you.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. I just want to say that Tiny Toons is like one of my favorite shows. I was wondering what voices you did on that.
Well, let's see. It was a few years ago, but to the best of my recollection, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Elmer Fudd, Yosemite Sam, Tweety Bird, Foghorn Leghorn, a few others, and then some incidental characters.
You didn't do any of the current characters, main characters?
No. That's they had other actors that did that were very, very good.
What does Tweety Bird sound like?
Oh, Mr. Putty Tat. Oh, don't you like me no more? Bad old Putty Tat.
We'll be back with Jeff Bergman, who ain't wound up too tight, after these messages. La Crosse, Wisconsin, with Jeff Bergman. Hello.
Hi, Larry. Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
You probably, I don't know, you might remember me. I have a very early, I guess what you would call air check of your talent. I'm a really, or I was, and I'd like to think of myself as a really good friend still, of your younger brother, Larry.
Lawrence,
yes, as he goes by Lawrence, I forgot. I went to high school with him, graduated with him and stuff, and had a very early air check when you were on Evening Magazine in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
You dressed up as Tootsie.
Yes.
And I met when, I guess, your folks had a big opening party for their business and stuff, and I always wondered what happened to you, and this is the third time I've heard you on Larry King.
Yes.
It's incredible. I mean, when are you going to be on TV and stuff? When are you going to be even a huger star?
When I get thinner, I guess. I don't know. When something comes along that's
You
great.
haven't been booked on Letterman yet or anything? They listen to the show.
Not yet. Did I listen to this show?
They'll have you on. Let them get up on with you.
Yeah,
Sitting there with Bugs.
Yeah, I would like that.
Thanks.
Thank
St.
you.
Andrews, New Brunswick. Hello.
Hi, I'm wondering, how do you go from being a pretty much a nobody to being Bugs Bunny? Because I've always, as far back as I can remember, I've always wanted to do voices for cartoons, and I've just, I work on a couple of them. I do Alf, sort of. Well, like you said before, it's a lot easier to get the high range and the low range, and the mid range is kind of the tough part. So how do you get to be pretty much an unknown to Bugs Bunny?
Persistence. Patience, perseverance, and persistence.
Being in the right place.
And being at the right place. And luck there's no such thing as luck, I don't think. It's just staying with it, and eventually you get a break.
Right.
If you really want to do it, then you have to stay with it.
So how do you get known?
How do you get known? There's no magic formula. I wish I had the Midas formula, but there just isn't. It's just if you love what you do, like George Burns says, you gotta love what you do, and you gotta love a young girl too in a band with a big chest, about a 40 or a 44, and a nice and a big cigar. I love young girls. I love it. You gotta love what you do.
Right. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. Sherman Oaks, California. Hello.
Hello, Larry. I'm an impressionist. You remember what I did when you had Sylvester Stallone's mother on?
You called in as Sylvester Stallone, and she thought it was her son.
Right. Has anyone ever played a better prank on your show?
Well, it was cute, but the problem was...
What?
People didn't think it was a prank.
Well, that was a compliment to me then.
It was a compliment to you, but in order to make a famous prank, it's got to be known as a prank. What I hear mostly is people say to me, that was great that night that Sylvester Stallone's called in his mother.
Wait, I didn't have enough nerve to bring myself out. It would have.
That's why you're not Jeff Bergman. You're not in show business.
How come you denied it when I called up and said that I fooled you?
But that's not the problem.
No, but how come you denied it? I always wanted to know that.
Oh, because I wasn't sure. You were so good. How do I know that it... In fact, I still don't know that it wasn't Stallone. And what if I called up... What if I said, last week when you heard my show and Sinatra was on?
Yeah.
That wasn't Sinatra, it was me. I was the whole voice the whole time.
That's a big compliment, Larry. Thank you.
I could do Stallone now.
Okay.
Hey, Larry, how you doing? You sound great. I didn't know, but, yeah, seriously, that was me. Yeah.
Great, huh?
Very good.
Terrific.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Hudson, New Hampshire. Hello.
Hello, Mr. King and Mr. Bergman. It's an honor to speak to both of you tonight. I have a question about the Saturday morning cartoons that I've been seeing from the Bugs Bunny, the Warner Brothers cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
I've been noticing that lately that they've been doing a lot of cutting out of, especially on the Roadrunner episodes, cutting out like the coyote falling off of cliffs and blowing up and that kind of a thing.
You mean the lack of the violence, you're saying? I think this was an issue some years back where, I think they had gotten some heat from, special interest, people that just felt there's too much violence for kids. So they I know they have cut some of it out, but this has been an issue now for several years.
Yeah, I can't understand why, cartoons that they've made back in the 40s and 50s are cutting out, but they have all this, the G.I. Joes on and the Transformers and the Ninja Turtles and all this other stuff that shows.
Yeah, I see what you mean. You got a point there. It doesn't seem totally fair. They're great cartoons, and they still hold up no matter what, I think, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you. Our guest is Jeff Bergman, and you'll hear him tomorrow night on Bugs Bunny Creature Features on CBS. Indianapolis, hello.
Yes, I'd like to ask two quick questions. One, you do other voices, Jeff. I tuned in late, so I never did hear it. Do you do Yosemite?
Yes, I do.
I hate that rabbit. Ooh, you corn-soring Indian varmint!
Yes, you do. Two, the second question is, are there any way that you can get, that you're aware of, all the good Warner Brothers cartoons like Bugs and Yosemite and all those cartoons on videotape from Warner Brothers?
Well, they are available on videotape at your local video stores. Warner has a library of their finest cartoons available on Warner Home Video. Also, Turner has some of the great Warner cartoons before 48. So you have a large selection to choose from.
And you tap into the Warner Library from your local video store?
Yes. There's several cartoons, many. Some videos are dedicated to Mel Blanc and Chuck Jones. There's a vast library of cartoons.
One more question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the Bugs Bunny movie that they made? I think it lasted about 90 minutes. It was a classic with Yosemite and those guys, and he was in a desert.
Mm-hmm.
I have never saw that movie only but once.
You know it?
I believe that is also available on video cassette.
One more call. Fort Wayne, hello.
Yeah, I recall seeing a cartoon, Warner Brothers cartoon, where they run through the halls and like an apartment or a hotel, and one of the numbers on the door was 666. Are there any, messages?
I certainly hope not. I don't, tell you the truth, I don't know about that. I don't recall that, but I'll keep a watch for that.
Oh boy, I think conspirators. All right, say goodnight, Bugs.
We're not going to end it that way, are
No,
we?
we'll do some voices. Bugs.
Yes.
Say goodnight, Bugs.
Good night, Doc. Now, to my left is Billy Crystal. You didn't know that, did you?
No.
No, Billy's like a Jewish sneeze, really. I love him, really beautiful. He's great. Sally Albright, really beautiful. You look great, Larry. You really do. Beautiful. I love it. Really great.
That's terrific, Jeff. That's true. And how about Elmer Fudd saying goodnight?
Oh, please, Wowie. I love being on your show, but I hate that wascally wabbit.
And Yosemite?
Yes, I just going to get that rabbit.
Jeff, you're too much. You're a great talent.
That's a problem. I'm too much.
Jeff Bergman.
Thank you,
Now
Larry.
you got with the Boston Pops. Now we'll get you with the Pittsburgh Symphony and New York Philharmonic.
It's a pleasure, Larry. Thank you.
My pleasure. Jeff Bergman, if you missed any part of these 2 hours with Gloria Steinem and Jeff Bergman, they will be repeated 1 hour from now on most stations. Tomorrow night, the Jim Bohannon Show. Sunday, The Best of King with Don Rickles. We'll be back with Open Phone Americas on the Mutual Broadcasting System.